Alrighty then. It is Wednesday, the 27th of January, 2021. We are now officially 7 days into a Biden presidency. Biden-Harris, Harris-Biden, whatever you want to call it. Well, so far, there's a lot of crazy in the news. Biden appears to be biting the hand that feeds him with all the crazy executive orders. A couple of them have been stopped by court justices. Very good. Some things court justices can't stop. Weirdly enough, the House in legislation holds the purse strings for pretty much everything. How an executive order can stop funding for something, I don't know, but we've started a precedence with these executive orders to the point where, you almost don't need Congress. You can, the separation of powers seems to be being blurred to the point where, one president can come in, set policy, and the next president can come in and pretty much uproot everything and set his own policy, which, I guess is to be, but instead of looking at policy, see what works, and then tweak it to make it your own, they're not seeming to want to do that. But oh well. There's a brewing storm gathering. As with all weather in Houston, the weather report, can change in an instant. The old saying, you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes, it'll change. The gathering storm has been gathering now for over 6 months, if not longer. Well before the election, the build up to the election, the crazy of the election, the build up to the 6th of January, and then the build up to the 20th of January. Oh, yeah, it's just crazy. But there is a story I want to talk about. 22 years ago, I moved into my house. In the backyard, there was a little sapling that came up. Not a mighty oak by any chance. It was I can't even tell you what the name of the tree is. Most people consider them a trash tree. But being a pool guy and being that I know from a real estate point of view, because I've dealt with a lot of people buying and selling houses, a tree in the backyard is actually a very good thing. Or having a tree on your property. So, figure what the fuck, I'll let this tree grow and maybe it'll add some value to my property. It did seem to come up like right on the fence line though, so that was pretty stupid. But you know, hey, what you gonna do? Well, for 21 years, this tree has been through, I want to say 2 to 3, maybe even 4 hurricanes / tropical storms, major storms. Never really had an issue with it. You know, it just kept on growing, just kept on growing, just kept on growing. I pruned it, got it nice, kept it off the house. All them goodies that, you know, a good tree owner would need to do. And then a small little storm comes through with just enough, I guess, updraft force or downdraft force, comes in, snaps the whole top off of it. So I'm like, wow, this thing has been through mighty hurricanes and rainstorms and all kind of shit. Then this little old storm moves through here and it busts the shit out of this tree. There's a saying out there that there are 2 types of people out there. There are willow trees and then there are oak trees. A willow tree will bend and flex in the wind, and it will move. And the oak tree, although mighty, will get very rigid and can break. But you got to look at the roots. A tree with a well-established root system will generally weather most storms. When you see a tree that's been toppled in a storm, what do you notice most about it? Well, very shallow roots. You don't generally see a pine tree uprooted by a storm because a pine tree pretty much grows as far down as it grows up. An oak tree generally spreads out as much as it spreads up. So typically, what you'll notice is that a root system will resemble the tree above ground. An interesting fact about trees, though, just because the root system is as dense underground as it is up top, if we do not feed the tree deeply, meaning in today's day and age of sprinkler systems and such, trees will actually, their roots will move up to the surface to get the most water because it is battling for that water with our lawns. The sprinkler system kicks on every day or whenever you turn your sprinklers on. and it waters the area. A lot of it runs off into our sewers and such, but the grass catches a lot of it, and because it's battling for water, and it gets a lot of water, it goes very shallow to get the most water. Trees that do not have sprinkler systems typically grow deep because that's where the water is. The deeper you go, the wetter the ground typically is. Thus, the reason for wells and stuff like that, underground aquifers, stuff of that nature. So, what you see here is you see a tree that has to find its own way, is not fed every day by a outside entity, has deeper roots. This can be used to typify people. People who are given their way through life. Trust fund babies, silver spoons, government doles, people who, did not work for their position in life, typically have very shallow roots. And that shows in their emotional levels. Small little things break them. They pitch fits, cry. It just breaks their whole personality, uproots them. That is a very, very, very true statement, guys. What kind of person are you? Are you a willow tree? Can you flex in the wind? Do you look at the tornado and say, give me your best shot? Are you an oak tree? Do you look at the tornado and you say, give me your best shot and fight it tooth and nail until it breaks you? And a willow tree or an oak tree, did you work for your status in life? Was you given everything in your life? How hard did you work for everything in your life? World's changing, guys. For the better, I don't think. But there's a couple of memes out there saying, the founding fathers would have been stacking bodies if they were still around to see what's happening in our government today. There's also another meme that says the founding fathers did great evils to make sure that the country was solidly built so that it could stand on its own. and so that we would not have to do great evils. There's also a meme out there that fathers are saying, if evil is to come, let it come in my day, that my kids will not know evil. Guys, don't know if you got kids, how old they are. I hope you've instilled a work ethic in them. Someone who is going to be employable or as an employer in the future. There was a TV show, a guy who owned a company, and this lawnmower mom brought her son to get a job at this company. And all he did was sit on his phone and he never looked up. He was sitting there on his phone, typing and texting and doing his thing. Mom sitting there touting that he would be a good employee and such, and basically just bulldozed the business owner to the point and tricked him into hiring this kid. And then 3 days later, after, basically the kid showed up for work and never got off of his phone, was abashed by the fact that they were firing him. But they showed her security footage of him never getting off of his phone, not doing his job. And therefore, guys, if your kid cannot sell themselves to an employer, cannot speak for themselves, cannot function on their own, we have failed them. We have failed these newer generations greatly. We say to ourselves, I don't want my kids to grow up the way I did. I was spanked. Guess what? You survived being spanked. Guess what? Your kids will survive being spanked. A spanking is not the end of the world. It is a disciplinary tactic that gives you respect. Yes, you were spanked. But do you not respect the word of law that was your parents at the time? Now that you are a parent and you do not spank your kid, does your kid have that same respect for you as their caregiver and ultimately their moral code giver and the lawgiver? As a parent, we have to get our kids used to a society with social norms, such as don't go into a movie theater and yell fire. Don't, fart on an elevator. Don't steal. Don't kill. Don't, all these things. Hurting someone is bad. But even worse, letting somebody hurt you is worse. Not being able to defend oneself. Don't know, guys. Really don't know. This is a crazy, crazy world. And I'm sad to say it's kind of our own fault. But I'm at 21 minutes of your time now, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off and say, be ready. Have a poncho, have an umbrella, have something to weather the coming storm. Whether it happens tomorrow, whether it happens next week, whether it happens next year, it's coming. America is due for a reset of some kind. Hopefully it's not the one that the financial districts are wanting, because holy shit, we don't need to become socialist. All right. Buy more ammo. Later, Gators. Bye.